Hey, David, how's it going, man? David, can you let me know in the chat if this seems really buggy to you? Because it looks like from my end it is. Yeah, it's choppy. I'm going to see if I can fix that. Audio is fine, but video is choppy. Yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you, David. I appreciate that, man. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to fix this. Chat. What's up to everyone in the chat? Sorry, I know it's super choppy coming through, but I'm currently right now trying to fix that. Truthfully, don't know if I'm going to be able to, but I'm going to try my best. If it starts getting less choppy, can you guys let me know down below in the chat? Admittedly, this is my first time trying to go live on YouTube. It looks like it's a little less choppy. You know, I think if I see there's 4 people in the chat, if someone could let me know, hey, because I know David was in before, he said it is choppy, audio is fine. Wave your... Thanks, David. I feel like that's a lot less choppy than it was. I'll wave my hands a little more. Yeah, it's a lot better. My man, David. Thank you, David. I appreciate it, brother. All right. Just give me one moment. I'm about to get myself to go live here. All right. I don't know why on earth. All right. So we got some big things to go over now in today for the Premier League, football in general. If you saw the thumbnail of this live stream, you probably have a general understanding of what we're going to talk about. But some big transfers in the Premier League. Chelsea really getting involved. We're going to break that down. If you join us, let us know in the chat your thoughts on everything. First time live streaming. I intended for this to come up right now. I can only, so let me see. I would love if I can get my chat actually on my screen for once. Save. Give me my chat. Why is my chat? Whatever. All right. Chelsea, biggest probably team that's been in the news for the Premier League so far over the past couple of days, and for good reason. They signed or have reportedly are going to be signing Joao Pedro, who's allegedly going to be going through his medical at Chelsea. And from a lot of reports, it seems as though Joao Pedro is going to then go right from his medical to the United States of America, where I'm from, of course, if you couldn't tell by my Yank accent. And he's going to join the Chelsea team. Bro, create community and add me. Sench, coming soon. Coming soon. I like that. Sench, if you, and anyone in the chat, but Sench, if you're subscribed, make sure. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Community coming soon. I hope you are a subscriber though. Also, make sure to follow me on TikTok and Twitter. My link is in the description. But Chelsea Football Club, Joao Pedro, it's reportedly coming in for approximately £60 million. This is not the only signing that's been reported for Chelsea over the past week. Allegedly, they are in to sign Jamie Giddens for reportedly £40 to £55 million too. Here's the thing. A lot of people are all up in arms about these two signings, and I'll be real. It's maybe the most overrated business I've seen in this transfer window. What do I mean by this? I don't mean it's bad. And when I say this, I am not talking smack about Joao Pedro, about Jamie Gittins, not even Liam Delap, who obviously was signed before both Pedro and Gittins. I think all three of them are good players. But the sheer fact of the matter is it's being reported somewhere between 40 million to 55 million for Joao Pedro. And I think it's going to be on the higher end. I've seen around 55 million seems to be the price for him. Likewise, I'm seeing around the same amount for Jamie Gittins as well. So here's the deal. If you look at Joao Pedro over the last season, he had 10 goals, 6 assists in 27 appearances. The previous season, he had 9 goals, 3 assists in 31 appearances. I struggle to see how that is a £55 million player in the Premier League. Yeah, I do. I struggle. I think if they were to sign him for, let's say, 40 million, I think that would make sense. But yes, hit the like button. Thank you, Sench. But for 55 million pounds, or upwards of 60, it could even be. I've seen reports for Joao Pedro. It's ridiculous. And look, I think that realistically, what he did here was, or realistically, what Chelsea did here is they took Newcastle. They said, we're going to sit you in the corner of the room, and you just sit there. And realistically, if you're a Chelsea fan, right, I think Newcastle is a team that you should be competing with, right? I look at it like Liverpool, Arsenal, and Manchester City are going to compete to sign players. If a player gets an offer from any of those three teams and they can expect adequate playing time, they're probably going to jump at those offers. On the flip side of the coin, if it's like, well, I can go sit at City, Liverpool, or Arsenal, but I could play at Chelsea, obviously that's a different scenario. But then the second tier, I would say, on that would be the likes of Chelsea, Newcastle. I'm not gonna put Tottenham in there. I'm definitely not going to put United in there. I would say that I would say Newcastle and Chelsea. Newcastle and Chelsea would be two teams. You could probably squeak in a Villa, but for me, I find it hard to believe that any player with a reason in their mind would pick Villa over the likes of Chelsea. Newcastle maybe, but I mean all that to say that Joao Pedro was very, very heavily linked with Newcastle, and obviously Chelsea came in, swooped them in, upwards of now apparently 60 million, 50 million, somewhere in that range. I don't think that that's good business. I think that Joao Pedro's a good player. I don't think he's worth that much money. That's a personal opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. And here's the thing: is like I said, scored 10 goals, 6 assists, and 27 appearances last season. But that was on Brighton. He could get, realistically, you would expect him to get more goals and more assists in a better team. What doesn't make any sense about Joao Pedro coming to Chelsea, in my opinion, is he played as a number 9 for Brighton for the past number of seasons, and now he's going to, apparently, he's going to be playing as a winger for Chelsea because it's been reported that they would want to play him off the wing while Liam Delap plays down the middle. We'll see. But an interesting one that Chelsea did bring in, Jamie Gittins. In the 24-25 season with Borussia Dortmund, 8 goals, 3 assists, and 32 appearances. He will be turning 21 in August, while apparently Joao Pedro will be turning 24 in September. So 2 young players. But for me, if I was to be honest with you, I would say Jamie Gittins is a better signing than Joao Pedro. Why? We've seen Joao Pedro in the Premier League. Like I said, 10 goals, 6 assists, 27 appearances. That's good for the Premier League, but that's not great for the Premier League. That's not 60 million pounds. I'm going to drop 60 million pounds on a player for 10 goals, 6 assists. And that's where I feel as though when I look at this, I say it's not a great signing, not Gittins, rather, Pedro, because Chelsea always goes for young players. They do, David. I saw 24 years old for Joao Pedro, 21 for Jamie Gittins. And this is fresh, by the way. I have in my notes here, Joao Pedro will be 24 in September. Gittins will be 21 in August. And then you put on top of that, Liam Delap is 22 years of age. So, and then what they do here, David, they put these guys on long contracts. And they put them not on crazy wages. They put them on no less than 7-year-long contracts in a lot of instances. And I think that it's super interesting, this Chelsea scenario, because, like I said, I don't think Pedro's worth the money that they paid for him. But on the flip side of things, they're getting young players, and they invested £100 million, and they haven't sold anyone yet. I think Nicholas Jackson's gone. I think with these signings coming in for Chelsea, all that this means for me, in my opinion, the likelihood that Nicholas Jackson will be a Chelsea player next season, very, very unlikely. But that's £100 million from Chelsea right there, between those 3 wingers. You're right? I can't be wrong here. £100 million between Joao Pedro, Jamie Gittins, and Liam Delap. And people can rave about these signings all that they want, but that's £100 million between 3 players who are fairly unproven. Fairly unproven. I'm like, I don't do if, buts, or maybes. I do absolutes. Fairly unproven. Liam Delap is a good player. 1 season in the Premier League. Joao Pedro's a good player. 10 goals, 6 assists, 9 goals, 3 assists. Jamie Gittins seems to have a lot of potential, and I don't think that Chelsea Football Club are going to be putting that amount of money into a player like Gittins if they don't have an expectation that he'll be great. But 21 years old, I think he had 12 goals over the amount of appearances that he had with Dortmund. Not many seasons under his belt. £100 million on players that are fairly unproven. But people will come at Liverpool and Liverpool's fans, rightfully so sometimes, because Liverpool, we've basically built ourselves for seasons that we don't spend any money. And now it's come back to bite us because we've spent the most money out of anyone in this transfer window. But not for nothing, Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Frimpong, proven entities at Leverkusen. Kirkes, one of the most sought-after left-backs. You filled up £100 million worth of players that are unproven, and Chelsea fans online are just talking Like it's already a success. It's not. It's not. Moving on from Chelsea. I think I've spent enough time just going on the Chelsea. Yeah, I so excited to see Verts. David, I can't even begin to talk about how excited I am to see Verts. Let me tell you something though, David. I'm a little nervous about Verts. I am. I think that when you look at the players that go for the price tag that Verts has gone for historically, many of them don't work out the way that the teams purchasing them would hope. And it's unfortunate, but it's the truth. I think Verts is a quality player, another young player, but I just get nervous when it gets up to that £100 million price tag. We've seen it when Dembele when he went to Barcelona, Coutinho when he went to Barcelona. Um, Neymar was okay at PSG but for the amount of money that they paid for Neymar, I can't help but feel like it wasn't that a huge success. I can't. I just gotta be honest. I don't feel it was that great. But on the topic of Liverpool, Marc Guehi. Marc Guehi has been rumored for Liverpool Football Club for quite some time. When it comes down to these rumors, you see on Twitter, on YouTube, there's many of them. We see them all the time. I don't tend to believe all of them. There's few sources that I truly trust, but one of them came through and said Marc Guehi um, is solid for Liverpool and still high on the list of priorities for Liverpool. Fabrizio Romano came out, tweeted today that Marc Guehi is still high on Liverpool's list for this summer transfer window. Now, here's the thing that interests me about this: the big three for Liverpool, we secured that, and when I say the big three, I mean obviously Frimpong, Verts, and Kirkaz. Three big signings, but was anyone really surprised about those guys coming? And granted, maybe that's just modern football nowadays that we all know what's going to happen because Fabrizio tweets about it before it happens or it really comes to fruition. But it is interesting because we knew that they were going to come in. So now we're in a situation where the likes of the Guehis, all of the forward options that we've been linked with, they're being thrown out into the rumor mill, and the likelihood that it's going to happen is it's not like the other three. It's not like Verts, Frimpong, and Kirkez, where it was likely we were going to secure those players. Now we're at a point where we're getting linked with Guehi. We're getting linked with Alexander Isak or Atike, Osman. Several different players we're getting linked with now who they're not definites yet. We don't know if they're definites. And Guehi is one of them. Along with the Guehi thing, though, let's be honest, is the Ibrahima Konate situation. Ibrahima Konate apparently is on his final year of his deal and will be out of a contract with Liverpool Football Club at the end of the upcoming season. Now, my thoughts. I think if we sign Guehi, Ibrahima Konate's out. I do not see a world where Liverpool Football Club are looking at this and thinking, we really need Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, and Marc Guehi. I think if we sign Guehi, one or two things are happening. We're signing Guehi, and there's an expectation that we would sell Virgil with 1 year left on his contract. I don't think that that's the case because Guehi has already come out and said that he wants to start immediately for Liverpool. So there's that. And yeah, I've heard the same, David, that Konate didn't want to continue playing with Liverpool. Here's the thing, though, David, right? The thing that worries me about that, right, with Konate, I worry Konate is going to pull a Trent, run out the remainder of the last year of his contract, and then go off to Real Madrid. And when that happens, or when we put ourselves in this position to let these players run out their contracts far too much. We did it with the likes of Trent, but even before Trent, we did it with Bobby Firmino, where we let Bobby's contract expire. Granted, I think it probably gave Bobby a lot more options, but he ended up going to Saudi anyway, which we could have gotten a transfer fee from him. And I'm going to be extremely upset if the same thing happens with Ibu Konate, to where we just let him run the remainder of his deal down with Liverpool, and then we say, okay, go off to Real Madrid for free. Because Real Madrid's doing this. They did it with Trent. They did it with Mbappe. They're getting in these players' ears early, saying, you have a year or two left on your contract. Why don't we just let that run down, and then we're going to pick you up for a free? It can't keep happening. It can't keep happening. And look, when it comes to these clubs, Liverpool Football Club, Real Madrid, they know what's going on behind the scenes way before we do. Way before we do. You actually, and not speaking to anyone specifically, but does anyone actually believe that that the club did not know Trent Alexander-Arnold was leaving after this season? Liverpool and Trent knew that this was happening. Don't want to change the topic. Fluminense just scored in the 94th minute against Inter. Wow. Did they really? Wow. 2-0. I'll be honest with you. Inter Milan might be one of the most overrated teams to have reached a Champions League final. I for the life of me, I knew going into that Champions League final that was going to be a one-sided ass kicking. I knew it was going to be. I would be surprised if anyone else would say something different. I knew Inter were going to just absolutely get pummeled by PSG. Look at that PSG team. It's filthy. It's just insane how good they are. But moving on, just the last little bit I have from my notes for today on the Guehi and Konate situation. Look, if we bring in Marc Guehi, I think that has to be the end of Ibrahima Konate at Liverpool, and we need to look to sell Konate. It has to happen, because we've time in, time out gotten these players, and they run out the remainder of the last year of their contract, and they leave. We saw it with Trent, and this isn't even Liverpool. We saw it with Kylian Mbappe. Real Madrid are just going to keep doing this, just basically being like, well, the transfer market is insane now. The transfer fees for players are so egregious. We don't need to pay the money for the transfer fees for these players. So we're just going to get in their ear early. We're going to let them run down the remainder year of their contract. And then we're going to pick them up for a free. And then when we put them on egregious salaries, who cares? Because we didn't have to pay anything for them, So you get these you get these guys who they run down the last year of their contract and go to Real Madrid. They get put on crazy wages, and it doesn't matter, but because the transfer fee was non-existent. It's happening too often. So if we're going to bring in Guehi, get Konate out. I've seen a lot of people say we should just sit him. I don't want to do that. I think that's, nobody wouldn't. I don't like to be like, oh, let's just sit a player just because. That's, ridiculous. I don't want to do that. Moving on to Liverpool's striker options. Darwin Núñez has been reportedly heavily linked with Napoli. And I think that there's a lot of news out there in the transfer realm of, say the likes of this guy's good. Yeah, Darwin Núñez, heavily linked with Napoli. So I think that there's a lot of news like the Darwin one. I think it's the same thing with a guy I'm going to talk about in the stream in a little bit, Brian Mbeumo, where they've been linked for quite some time. There's been a lot of news going about, and nothing really has come of a lot of these things. And I believe we're going to see a lot of transfers get banged off in the next coming days. I think Darwin's a perfect example of it. I think Mbeumo to United, he's been heavily linked, will be a big one. I think a lot of these teams are waiting for the 30th of June to pass. We go into the 1st of July because it's the new uh, financial year for football, and they have their new budget, and they say, "Oh, Darwin Núñez, he's been linked to Napoli. He's gone." If Liverpool Football Club get rid of Darwin Núñez, let's be honest, we're definitely going to buy a striker this transfer window. And I'm not saying it's going to be Alexander Isak, but we're going to get a striker. It might be Ekitike, it might be Osimhen, but if finances are an issue for Liverpool, I don't see how Osimhen is maybe the perfect replacement. Because if finances are an issue, let's just go and get Osimhen. That doesn't make any sense. He's probably just as much money, if not more money, than Alexander Isak. The Isak thing has been rumored for quite some time now. I think I saw someone say Alexander Isak is like Jude Bellingham when Jude was heavily linked with Liverpool, and that it's like we're going to work ourselves up so much for this, for it to not to appreciate, it'll deteriorate and he'll go somewhere else. I don't think though there's many huge big name clubs in the need for a striker at the level that Alexander Isak is. Manchester City have Erling Haaland. Real Madrid have Kylian Mbappe. There's Arsenal for sure, but I think if you were to take the current state of both Liverpool and Arsenal, most players would probably pick Liverpool. No disrespect to Arsenal. I know some Arsenal fans will disagree with that or whatever, but it's just a matter of the fact we're Premier League champions. Arsenal haven't won a trophy in quite some time. I think that any of those creme de la creme center forwards, I think that they're probably going to pick Liverpool over Arsenal. It's just the facts of the matter. Next up, we got Brian Mbeumo, Manchester United. This scares me. Oh, man, it's thundering outside. Brian Mbeumo to Manchester United scares me a little bit, and I'll tell you why. Manchester United have already brought in Matheus Cunha. Here's the thing. That has gone way too under the radar. That is a huge signing. The Joao Pedro signing to Manchester United, or to Chelsea rather, has gotten way more shine than the Cunha to United. And as far as I'm concerned, Cunha to United is 5 times a signing than Pedro to Chelsea, and it hasn't even got even remotely as much shine. Yeah, it's insane to me. I truly believe Matheus Cunha. Granted, the Cunha signing, I think it was in the works before the season even ended, so I don't think it was as shocking. I think that the Joao Pedro signing got so much limelight because it was almost as if Chelsea hijacked Newcastle. So I do understand that a little bit. Brian Mbeumo, if he comes to Manchester United along with that Cunha signing, that's dangerous. It's dangerous. There's goals there. And that's the thing is, I looked at the squad of Manchester United. And when I say that, I hate United, but when I looked at the players, right, they've got a good shell of players there. If you look at them as individuals, there's some good players at United. The goalkeeper's terrible. Onana, he's not a good goalkeeper. But you can't tell me maybe he couldn't improve. I think they should get rid of him. If given the opportunity, they should get rid of him. But Bruno Fernandes, while I don't like him, good player. Kobe Mainu, good player. De Ligt's decent. That Lenny Euro seems like a good player. But I felt as though the forwards, the wingers, were not great for Manchester United. So if you bring in the likes of Acuna and an Emblemo, there's goals there. And that's what scares me about United. United with players that could score goals. That's what they were lacking. They had Xerxes and Hoyland who need to get out. If you're a United fan, I'd be signing petitions to get them out of my club. So, we will see if that Emblemo signing comes to fruition. It's been up and down. Truthfully, I think the Emblemo and the Darwin Núñez rumors, I feel as though they probably are going to. There's going to be some stuff that we're going to see in the media from that in the coming days. Once it gets into July and it's the new financial year for football, I think it's going to completely change. But I see a couple of you in the chat. Please let me know. Those are some of the big things that I wanted to talk about. If you guys have anything that you want to talk about, please make sure to drop it below. I'm going to talk about it. So if you have any footballing topics you want me to maybe speak on that I haven't spoke about in the stream, or even if I have, if you want me to circle back to it, drop it in the chat. Let me know. Big business for Chelsea that's kind of slid under the radar. Liverpool. Still some things out there that could be happening for Liverpool. We'll have to wait and see. There's a lot going on, guys. A whole lot going on. Club World Cup related. I followed the Club World Cup, but I there has been, it's not my favorite competition. I'll be honest. I think that this is maybe the most forced competition I've ever seen before in my life. And when I say forced, it's like cool, but like, I like who's Sterling, Havertz, Hoyland, Xerxes. How do you say is the worst? So David, I'm assuming when you give me those guys, you want me to rank them, right? That's what I'm assuming, and I could do that. Okay. So who we got? We got Raheem Sterling, Kai Havertz, Hoyland, Xerxes, Núñez. So I'm going to give a little credit to Raheem Sterling here, and I'm going to put him the best out of that list. He's certainly, don't get me wrong, certainly not the best currently out of that list. But at one point, Raheem Sterling was a very, very, very good player. Hear me out, David. I know you're saying what. At one point, Raheem Sterling was a tremendous player. So not going off their current form, he's probably one of the worst currently. But when he was with Liverpool when he was young and when he was with Manchester City, he was better than any of these guys on this list. So I'm going to give him a little bit of credit because I look at Raheem Sterling and I'm like, that's a guy who his legs are just gone. I think that's a guy who played a ton of football at a young age and now is at the point where he's done. So I'm going to put him. I'm gonna put him at first just based on his overall career. After him, you have to go Havertz. I think, Havertz. Havertz and Núñez are a toss up there, for me. Like Kai Havertz, yeah, I think Kai Havertz. Problem is, I feel like Núñez will put himself in positions where opportunities will come more often, but he misses those opportunities. Like Núñez will put himself about fantastically, but it's like, but when you miss wide open goals, like who cares? Like I'm gonna go Sterling is the best because of his overall career, not currently, obviously. Honestly, if you were to take them currently, I would put Sterling last, but I'm going to put him top because his overall career. Then I'm going to go Havertz, because he scored in the Champions League final. Then Nunez. Sterling, Havertz, Nunez, Højlund, Xerxes. I mean, Xerxes and Højlund's a toss-up. I might actually, to be honest with you, I might go Sterling, Havertz, Nunez, Xerxes. I'll put Højlund at the bottom because Højlund's been at United for longer than Xerxes. Xerxes was there for like one season. I don't think he's a good player, but at the end of the day, Højlund's been there longer and hasn't been good. Has not been good. But this is what I mean, though, when I say that United have, like, when Ten Hag was at United, he just brought in random signings from Ajax or from his previous places he managed. Like, he brought Onana in because he managed Onana at Ajax. Same thing with the likes of Martinez. He brought in like a lot of players that he had like previous relationships with. Anthony is the same thing. Brought Anthony in because he managed him at Ajax. It's like you bring in these players who it's almost as though you feel you have a relationship with, but then they don't materialize. So, you guys have any other questions? Please let me know down below in the chat. David, if you want me to rank another one, I love ranking stuff. It's like my favorite thing in the world. Football, everyday life in general, love ranking. It's fantastic. And any of you other ones in the chat, I can see we got a couple other ones. Don't be afraid to drop it below. Yeah. Raheem Sterling, that's an interesting one because, he's been garbage, but like people forget he was a quality player at one point, especially with City. He was so good. Runs strange. Runs very, very strange. But a good player in general. Top player. For some reason, I have my phone up to get the chat, but my live chat is not working on my actual computer. Which I was having a whole bunch of trouble getting my camera and microphone up for this live. Yeah, it says something went wrong. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that. Definitely going to have to look into that. I'll tell you what, for a first, David, if you're still there, have you been a subscriber of mine for a while? Did you just see this pop up? I'm interested because, you never know. Sometimes I feel like people will filter in just because, they'll find the live. Some people will know about the creator or something like that. But I'm a quite small creator, so you never know. What's this? A quick fix. If you guys have any additional questions, let me know down below in the chat. I'd love to answer them. as I'm trying to fix my live chat on here. Oh, why did that not fix it? All right, probably going to end the chat here. Been about 41 minutes. Thank you all to joined, contributed. Shout out to Sench. Shout out to Ashley. And of course, shout out to the homie David for joining us. I will see you guys on my next stream. This was a lot of fun. I don't remember. And before I leave, I gotta give my boy. He said, I don't know how long I've been subscribed, but I think about 6 months. Dude, thank you. I really, really appreciate that, bro. That's sick. Yeah, man. I'm trying to grow, trying to be consistent with it. I'm very consistent on TikTok and stuff. So dude, thank you very much for being a subscriber. I really, really appreciate it. I'm going to try definitely to continue doing these lives. I love making football content. It's a lot of fun. It's super cool because I feel like these live streams you can like interact with your subscribers and stuff like that. And it's like even for me who it's like, dude, I have like 700 subscribers. Very, very small, but you see people filter in. You see people come in and just like drop like you basically saying rank these players best to worst. It's like that's fun. Obviously, I have stuff that I like to come in and talk about, but just even interacting with some of the people, I think it's super cool, and I'm definitely gonna do this again because this was honestly a ton of fun. I so much fun, so much fun. But yeah, no, thank you so much for joining. I look forward to hopping on the stream again and connecting with you, David. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you to everyone else who joined the stream. This was dope. See you guys. Peace.